4 reasons why we thrive on routine. Now, I'm going to apply this specifically to our Qigong practice, but it applies to many other aspects of our lives as well, and that's going to be the topic of this episode of Qi Life. So I might as well dive straight into the first reason why we thrive on routine. And that is quite simply, it makes it easier to fit our practice in regularly within our schedule. So many of us have very busy lives these days with many different demands on our time, our focus, and our energy. And when we develop a regular routine, it makes it so much easier to create the space within our day so that we can be sure to actually do our practice regularly. Otherwise, if we don't have that routine and we're just trying to fit things in whenever we can, it's very easy to let everything else take their place and then find that we run out of time to do our practice. By having a set routine, it's much easier to fit it in, and that means we're much more likely to practice regularly. So a very simple reason, but a very powerful one, why we really benefit from routine. So a second reason why we thrive on routine is because it can help us in the process of learning and remembering things. Often, in order to remember something, it's very difficult if we're constantly changing what we're doing. So quite aside from just having our schedule so we can do our practice at the same time every day, having a routine of doing the same or similar practices regularly day after day will help us to learn them more effectively. There can sometimes be a tendency to want to constantly be doing something different, something new. And I find this particularly amongst, it's not so much new students of Qigong, because often they're quite keen to learn, one thing and understand the details of it. But particularly new teachers of Qigong sometimes feel like they need to constantly be teaching something different. Whereas often what is of real benefit is actually to teach the same thing, encourage people to practice the same thing regularly so that they can learn it well and remember it well. So that's the second reason why we thrive on routine. The third reason why we thrive on routine is that it allows for incremental progress over time. This kind of ties in with the last one in terms of being able to remember things and learn them well, but it goes beyond this. The nature of many things in our lives, not just Qigong practice, is often there's a period of development to go through in order to really refine and develop what it is that we're doing and get the full benefit of it. And often it requires time. We need to do it over, not necessarily as long as some people might think. Some people have an idea that you need to do something for decades before you'll get anywhere with it. But also longer possibly than other people might think. Sometimes people have an idea, you do something once or twice and then that's it, you're good to go. And there can be transformative experiences sometimes where that can occur, right? But most often, particularly within something like Qigong practice and many other things in our lives, it develops little by little by little over time. And when we have a routine, it allows us to go through that process because we've set ourselves up so that we've allowed the time, we've put it on our schedule, we're working with the same thing over a period of time. We're naturally creating a course that all we have to do is follow to get that refinement and gain those much richer, more deeper benefits than we would if we're constantly chopping and changing between different things within our practice. The fourth reason why we benefit from routine and thrive on it is by having routine subtly in the background, unconsciously, we actually prepare ourselves for each time that we're going to do the thing that we're going to do. In this case, we're talking about Qigong practice, but it applies to other things as well. I'll give you a different example to begin with, and then I'll come back to the Qigong practice. So, for example, eating. If we eat constantly at different times of day, our body never knows when it is that we're going to decide to eat. And so when we decide, right, I'm going to eat, it's not ready. And it suddenly has to go, okay, I need to get the stomach acids ready. I need to have the hormones ready. I need to produce the enzymes. And it takes actually a little bit of time for the body to get all those things ready. Meanwhile, we've already started or even finished eating. The food's there sitting in our digestive system. It's going to get processed more slowly. At the very least, maybe it leads to indigestion and so on. On the other hand, if we have a regular schedule, a regular routine of when we eat, our body knows when that's coming. And so even before we make a conscious decision, right, I'm going to eat, the body starts to go, okay, we're approaching that time. Get the stomach acids ready, make sure the hormones are ready to, stimulate the organs the way they need to, make sure the enzymes are ready, so that when we eat, we're ready to receive it. We're ready to digest it in the most effective way. And that routine, that preparedness that comes from the routine leads to better digestion, better absorption of nutrients, and so on. This also applies to our Qigong practice. Now, I'm not saying to never just spontaneously fit in a Qigong practice. Of course, that can be wonderful, that can be beautiful, and we can get a lot of benefit from that. But at the same time, if we have a regular routine of when we're going to do our Qigong practice, similar to eating food, our body will start to prepare itself even before we start the actual practice session. And by doing that, it will actually help us to get more benefit from that practice. Again, this applies to lots and lots of different areas of our lives. The way that having that routine allows us to prepare. Another one being, if we have a regular routine for sleep. If our schedule is we have to be awake at all different hours, it's hard to get good quality sleep. Whereas if we have a routine, it's like, okay, I go to sleep at approximately this time every night. I wake up at approximately this time every morning. Our body then knows what to expect, and it goes, okay, it's time to get ready for sleep. It's time to start reducing some of the hormones and changing the blood pressure and all this stuff so that you're going to sleep well. And again, this is the time we need to wake up. It's going to start to ramp things up, and everything just goes more smoothly. This is the pattern of nature. In nature, animals tend to get up at the same time every day. They tend to go to sleep at roughly the same time each night. Of course, they adapt to the seasons, they adapt to other changes around them. But this, it's natural to follow these patterns, these rhythms of nature. And when we have a routine, it allows our body, our energy system to adapt more effectively as well. So anyway, hopefully an understanding of these 4 reasons why we thrive on routine might give you some insights as to how you structure what you do within your life, so that you can get the most benefit from it. For myself, I know I often find this quite difficult as I travel around a lot. And it's not really the travel so much that makes it difficult, because even when traveling, okay, I have a routine somewhere, I travel and it's a different time zone. Well, I can get into a different routine when I'm in that different time zone. It actually comes more from the nature of the work I do with Long White Cloud Qigong. And because I'm dealing with people all over the world in different time zones, it means I'm having to schedule things in and work at different times. And when I move to a different location, now all the relative times are different, and it means that it's hard often to actually establish a really regular routine while doing that. And that's one of the things where yeah, for myself, I certainly find it more, challenging. And it's one of the things I've really enjoyed actually while I've been here in Montenegro over the last little while, the way that things have just worked out with the relative time zones that I have teaching sessions scheduled for the courses that we're running at the moment with Long White Cloud Qigong, and also relative time zones that different course participants are in for one-on-one sessions, that I've actually found it relatively easy to get into a pretty stable routine pretty quickly. And so it's one of the things I'm really enjoying, to be like, oh wow, it's not too hard for me to have a nice regular morning routine almost every morning. Sometimes there's some disruptions. And boy, my body is appreciating that, my energy system is appreciating that. And that was part of the inspiration for this topic today. So I well recognize it's not always easy to have a consistent routine. I struggle with it often myself with what I'm doing. But I also recognize it's really valuable to have a routine. So if you are able to, I really encourage you to find a routine for as many different parts of your life as you can, actually. Certainly for your Qigong practice. If you have to fit in whenever you can, of course, do that. It's better than not doing it. But if you can set a regular time each day, and go, right, whether that be first thing in the morning when you wake up, that's often the easiest thing for me, because that's the time of day that we often have the most control over. And if we put things in there, it's easier to do it consistently. So that often works well for me, for other people as well. But for you, it might be something else. It might be, well, mid-afternoon, there's a time I can make that a regular part of my routine. Or in the evening, there's a good time I can make that part of my routine. I really encourage you to do that with your Qigong practice, and maybe with some other aspects of your life as well. Maybe you can have a routine of when you eat breakfast, or when you do other things as well. If you're able to do that, it's much easier to get that incremental progress. It's much easier to actually get more out of what you're doing, whether that be your Qigong practice or other things that you're engaged with. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. And I look forward to seeing you on another one soon.